This one, Invader Ellie.
In the upper left, in the red, our Protoss player up 2-1. He is ShoWTimE! Winning the first game, but losing the next two. Our Zerg player in the upper right, he is Nerchio!
Down now after that first victory on Dusk Towers. After that victory, I think Nerchio probably felt really confident, like, wow, he couldn't even come close to stopping me. But now, twice in a row, he has been stopped.
It's so funny because when we had game one, I saw how well Nerchio played, and I'm like, oh, wow, I said like 4-2. I should have said 4-0. Nerchio winning this. But ShoWTimE really adapts here. I'd say he's adapting better than almost any other, in a best of seven, almost any other player that we've seen. I mean, he really identified, oh, okay, Nerchio, is that what you're going to do? You're just going to do this timing on me and hope that I'm just sitting back trying to max out his Protoss, and I haven't seen this before. But he's really getting in there. Now, in this map, on these spots, we've got them both sharing the top. Artosis, do you have anything special you think we can expect as far as mid-game and late-game techniques here? Because it seems like these guys are not ending the game early at all.
Well, if it goes into one of these late-game situations, again, where they're both macroing heavily, I think that probably ShoWTimE has to fall back on charge rather than blink here. Just because of how big the map is, he's going to need a lot of harassment. Bases are really far apart. But from Nerchio's side, I would say that the style he's been trying, you know, kind of counterattacking everywhere, hitting everywhere at once later on with Lurker, Hydra, Ling, drops, stuff like that. I think that's going to work fantastically here. Even the Nidus Worm type of play, because these two main bases are really close by air, but super far away by land.
Yeah, you know, Nerchio has been dropping more than most of the Zergs that we've seen here. And, you know, especially in Korea, we've seen a lot of drops used as cheese early on. But Nerchio uses this as a really valuable tool in the late game. I really like it. And it's actually a lot like when Zerg developed a lot in Brood War, they would always do this to Protosses, where they would basically wait for Protoss to get this kind of death ball, big, scary army. And then they'd start dropping in the main. Mass drops more so in Brood War, but in this one, it's little drops everywhere, and it's tough for Protoss to juggle. I mean, yes, Adepts can go places fairly easily, and Stalkers can blink, but if you look at the speed of the army itself, if you were to track it, it's actually not that fast. They don't have like medevacs with boost or anything, or a creep highway to run on. So Nerchio's really exploiting that here.
He certainly is, and I think that we are going to see more of that from him, but we could see ShoWTimE mix it up once again. He's adding a couple gates. We don't see a Stargate yet, so already a different type of opening. And, you know, maybe he just wants to get aggressive, maybe with Adepts.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I think that's not a bad play to have over here. I think he can definitely try to come in and punish him. I would expect these guys to do at least one all-in or one really sick timing at least once this game. Generally speaking, if you try to do a macro game and go into late game every single time, you're going to get punished.
Oh, yeah, that becomes way too predictable.
There's a lot more weird rushes that you can do than you know, basic tech routes in the late game. And I think it's very important to throw your opponent off here. Let's see, though. I mean, ultimately, it's up to them. Double Stargate, Tosis.
All right. Double Stargate means we should be seeing a lot of Phoenixes. Could be something like a Phoenix Adept push.
We've seen a little bit of that here at DreamHack, and I don't think it would be a bad idea. Now, Nerchio identified immediately that there's two Stargates there. I don't think we're also going to have a cancel of that either when he backs out. I don't think there's actually a build you do, correct me if I'm wrong, where you're like, oh, my bad, and, and cancel that out. So let's see. ShoWTimE will be forced to commit, although I don't think he's going to be too concerned about that. This is more difficult to deal with than it is, you know, you're not just going to be surprised by it.
Yeah, that is very true. And, you know, even if you see that these Phoenixes are coming, it's okay. The double Stargate Phoenix is a doable strategy. You definitely can get damage done no matter what with these. It's just a question of how much. Can Nerchio stem that tide and still healthily be on 3 bases, taking a 4th?
We got 9 roaches coming out right now. And let's see if he tries to be aggressive with that. 6 lings over here, Artosis. In a lot of games, we see players, they make the roaches first, they send those across, and then they make lings behind that because the lings move a little bit faster than the roaches, so the lings actually get there when the roaches are. In this case, he's going to do that to try to catch these adepts.
Yeah.
But you got to be careful because with the fast lings, you can actually get in front of the shades and sometimes catch them. We've seen a little bit of that.
Yeah.
That can be used over here like this.
Well, let's see. He does actually shade right into those roaches as they're walking out. So very nice here for Nerchio. Going to force him back. And this time, unlike against Neeb, he is going to chase these shades down, which makes them cancel.
Yeah, that was a smart move there. We have had a couple moments here at this DreamHack where we have players just shading like it's a speed run to get to the right side of the map instead of using shade as a tool to escape or to peek in, and that was a good example of ShoWTimE doing it properly.
All right, well, the Phoenix is chasing down these roaches at the moment, picking them up one by one, trying to get any additional harassment onto this army that they can, and the Queen's actually coming out to push them back.
As you can see, the Nexus is now coming down, and we got the double Robo right over here in the bottom right for the Protoss' side of the map. If you're wondering why we see a lot of Protosses do that over here, it's because you want to get the Immortals to reinforce into the battle very quickly. They're clunky units. You want to have them right there in the front to defend. We got a Nidus network, Artie.
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Queen Roach is going to do very well against Phoenix Adept, and that's really all that ShoWTimE has. He never got any damage done with that harassment, so, you know, this is good for Nerchio. I think that this is a really solid play as long as he can get that Nidus up.
Phoenix is going to go over here to the center right. Looks like they're hiding behind the shrine or something. Going to try to come up. It looks like Nerchio's got really solid defense here. But let's see. I mean, with the Nidus possibly popping out here, I actually think he needs to get the Phoenixes back like yesterday.
Yeah, he really does. Look at this.
Okay, here we go. He knows now.
Yeah, he's making a beeline across, but already the Queen's popping out. The Ravagers as well, going after this natural base. I can't imagine him holding on to it.
No, I think he's going to be losing this for sure. It's going to be very tough for the Protoss army to get in over here. Note he's actually targeting down these pylons pretty carefully to make sure the pylon cannon can't do that much damage.
And he continues to push forward here. Some force fields going off, but they are only buying a little amount of time. The Phoenixes go up. They're going to try to pick off as many of these Ravagers as they can. Those are the big damage dealers here, even going for a Queen now.
Okay, the Protoss army's trying to get in here, but this acts like a funnel. He's going to have to back up. This expansion 100% going to go down as corrosive biles wipe out everything left in the Protoss' position.
A lot of transfusions going down as well, preventing these Phoenixes from truly helping out in the fight. More and more Lings actually rallying out of this Nidus, and Nerchio is doing some critical damage.
I think Nerchio is going to be able to actually keep this position as a reinforcement point. If he does, I think there's no time for ShoWTimE to actually win this game. Let's see.
Well, he's going to go ahead and get this Nexus. The Cybernetic score is down here as well, so as soon as he kills that, only Zealots can be made out of these gateways, which is going to be really rough against a composition like this.
Now, Nerchio is really committed here. Note, these Immortals that are so strong and so important cannot get to the upper main. Nerchio has to make a tough choice. Does he want to engage and cut off the Immortal tech, which I think would be checkmate, or does he want to try to get in the main and wipe out the rest of the tech, which I think is another way of getting checkmate? It's going to be pretty tricky because if he attacks the wrong one and ShoWTimE holds it, then he might not be able to get to the other.
Yeah, that is true. If he actually wipes out this entire army, ShoWTimE still has a chance. He has some powerful units. These Immortals are game changers, but here we go. It looks like ShoWTimE coming in, starting to micro against this army.
Important to note that he's making drones behind this, Nerchio is. So I think he might actually evacuate this position, build up, and then hit again in the front, or try to Nidus somewhere else.
Yeah, he definitely could. He's actually going for a Spire behind this. I absolutely love that
Yeah, this
play.
is cool. Let's talk about this. This is
really,
great.
It's a clever move right now. He's killed off most of the Phoenixes, and there's no money for ShoWTimE to do anything to get more Phoenixes, so he's just going to stay on gateway units and Immortals. So if this game lasts long enough and Nerchio gets into Mutalist, they could be a game ender the second ShoWTimE sees them.
Yeah, this is really exciting. Now, he's going to keep the pressure on here. He wants ShoWTimE to make as many Immortals as possible because they're not going to have any utility against air here. And he's doing a good job of doing this. You know what? To some ways, he might be able to break this if ShoWTimE just miscontrols this as well.
Yeah, Nerchio, he has the lead in each and every way that you can think of, but ShoWTimE, he's doing the one thing that might win him this game, microing his Immortals heavily and continuing to make them for a big counterattack if he does win against this army.
With the strat Nerchio's doing, we got to see how much gas he's banked up. We have 1,000 gas right now. That can be roughly 10 Mutalisks in a very quick period of time. And this is possibly the moment, actually maybe a minute from now, is going to be the moment where ShoWTimE might have the rug pulled out from under him.
Yeah, look at that army. It's very strong against things like roaches and zerglings and queens, but against mutas, he has almost zero. So look at it. This attack that Nerchio is kind of doing, this is a feint. He actually doesn't want to have a full-on battle. What he wants to do is scare ShoWTimE into thinking that's what he wants to do so these mutas can catch him blindside.
And by the way, he milked that amount of time for as long as I think is humanly possible. He's going to back up now. We got the 13 mutas rather, on the way. Now, what the mutas can do is hit into the main here or into the expansion. It's really up to him.
Hey, he can even go after the army.
Yeah.
Like, there's almost nothing that hits
This is like one of those choose-your-own-adventure books only on how you win the game, Artosis. He can turn to whichever page he wants to, and it should be a GG, a victory for him.
I think you're just about right there. Now, the Mutalisks are starting to pop out. Where will he go with them? We do have ShoWTimE moving across the map right now with his army, and he finally sees the mutas.
All right, the mutas are out now. There are 2 phoenixes here, but the muta number should be big enough. Now, he can try to micro these phoenixes to do extra damage, but I think overall he's just going to have to turn around. And look at this, taking out these sentries. I love it.
Oh, the sentries being taken out. The Warp Prism as well, and GG!
Nicely done.
Nerchio realized, or rather ShoWTimE realizing there that he just had nothing against that Mutalisk tech. Very well played by Nerchio, mixing this game up.
Does Nerchio have the best Nidus play in the world?
He could.
I think he actually could. I mean, in Korea, it's mostly cheeses with this, but he's like, no.
He's utilizing these Niduses in macro plays on big maps to move his army around very efficiently and sneakily. It's working out very well.
I love it. He did this cool play where he actually cut the bases in half. And that's so funny. We were talking about earlier, Protoss always make the Robos normally out closer to the middle of the map because Immortals are clunky, they're not that fast, and they're integral to the Protoss' army actually winning a fight. So what he does is he actually separates the Robos by when he takes out that expansion from the main, which, by the way, has the rest of the important tech. So really cool stuff there.
Yeah, and you know what? My favorite part there of Nerchio's play was the constant pressure. After he kills this Nexus off, he's just constantly walking up to the ramps and being like, hey, I'm trying to kill you with this. I'm trying to kill you with this. Making it look like it's some sort of, Roach, Ravager, Queen all in. But in reality, all he's doing is forcing ShoWTimE to continually make Immortals, Zealots, things like that, things that don't shoot up.
Yeah, he stayed here for so much longer.